Welcome to another episode of Election Watch with Ashwyn Mberi. Joining me today is Enzo Amuele, the head of the Myzone Youth Brand, as we talk about Namibian elections and particularly the youth voice in this year's election on the 27th of November as hashtag Namibia Decides 2024. How are you, Enzo?
Oh, good. How are you, Ashwyn?
Fantastic. You guys have been busy all year. Myzone, I understand you're going to be doing some coverage of the election itself.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
You're going to have youth all over the country, making sure that everybody stays informed.
Yeah, of course, 100%. We have been posting clips of youth leaders, young people, learners, teachers from across the country. Encouraging young voters to go out there and go cast their votes.
Yes, very essential, Enzo. Yes. Let's start off a little broad, just talking about youth in Africa as far as voting and the population. Now, the youth generation in Africa is booming, with 1/3 of the population being between 15 and 35, which means the median age is 19, making it the youngest in the world. Yes. Now, if we look at some of the elections that happened in the region this year, we look at South Africa, 42% of voters were the youth. They would have hoped for a much larger turnout over there. Now, in Botswana, the youth certainly turned out in their numbers, pretty much deposing of the ruling party, BDP. And in Botswana, a huge factor, as is in a lot of these countries, is unemployment. At 38%, the youth unemployment rate in Botswana far surpasses the national unemployment rate. And unemployed secondary school graduates comprise of 51.5% of the male population and 48.8% of the female population that is in Botswana. So that was a huge push for the youth with regards to unemployment in Botswana. Now, in Namibia, of the 1.4 million registered voters in Namibia, just over 900,000, we're talking 900,316, were born after 1982, which is making them younger than 42, which allows them to be considered a part of the youth. This was announced by the Electoral Commission of Namibia. Now, if young people turn out in their numbers to vote, it certainly means that the ballot will more likely reflect their wishes more than anyone else. It's an important election for Namibia. And a little later, we'll get into the statistics of the age groups that have voted in Namibia and the percentage precisely of the folks who will be voting in Namibia on the 27th of November. You talk to the youth. You spend a lot of time with the youth. Is there excitement surrounding this election?
Yes, definitely there is excitement. I think I can reflect back to when we spoke to a learner from Noordgren Secondary School in Rundu. And then we asked, are you going to vote? This boy took out his registration card and says, I'm a registered voter and I'm going to cast my vote. And he's a young boy in grade 12, and I was like, the excitement is there.
Yes.
The youth, they want to see that change. They want to make changes in the whole policy framework within the country.
Yes.
So I think the excitement is there.
I think that's really great because a lot of countries have been experiencing voter apathy, particularly from the youth. But so far, as it's gearing up, the Namibian youth are ready to vote. After the break, Enzo and Amuele and myself, we're going to get into some questions, particularly regarding the youth vote in Namibia. Stay with Election Watch.
Hey Namibia, did you know that the youth makes up 60% of our population? That's your power. So this election, when you vote, you shape your future, your economy, and your right.
This election, don't sit on the sidelines. Be a part of the change you want to see. Voting isn't just a right, it's your responsibility.
You need leaders who understand you, your struggles, your dreams, and your future. But here's the catch. How will they hear you if you don't vote? Go vote.
Voting is how you push for solutions and hold leaders accountable. The change starts with your vote.
And so, as I was saying, as a young person, if you don't vote, you're technically allowing other people to make decisions for you. And I don't think that's a smart decision, right?
Voting in Namibia is so easy. All you need to do is register, show up, sign your ballot, and that's pretty much it. So, what are you waiting for? Let's make your vote count because it definitely does matter.
The future is yours, but only if you vote. On election day, show up in numbers. This isn't just an election. It's your movement, your vote, your future, your Namibia.
All right, let's get into some perspectives on the youth vote. Enzo, let's get right into it.
Yes.
With, how significant is the youth vote in Namibia in the election, considering that the young are the majority?
Well, Ashwyn, I think the upcoming election is very important for Namibia. It's a very important election, as you just mentioned that the youth makes up, majority of these people. And then you see that the demographic shift is very, very serious, because now you see that young people are in position now to really, really change the whole system,
the landscape,
the whole landscape. So you can see that this shift could reshape how political, it could reshape so many things. It could reshape political party policies, could reshape government policies, it could reshape development. It could, the focus is shifting. Unlike 30 years ago, where I would say politicians would maybe prioritize traditional policies and stuff like that. And now young people are at the forefront. They are. I'm sure they're going to go out in numbers, and it's going to shape the whole future for Namibia.
I like that. I mean, it's always good to see, when the people who are going to be there in the future making the decisions for it. Now, what factors do you think are most influencing the Namibian youth vote? If we look at Botswana, even if we look at Mozambique, who just completed the elections, South Africa, unemployment is huge. Is that also the case here?
Yes, I was. When I saw the question, I was like, yeah, it's definitely unemployment. One of the most important factors that are influencing young people to vote. And the high employment rate in Namibia is quite high. And just a few weeks ago, we saw a bit of drama with the Namibia Statistics Agency. They didn't want to reveal,
the unemployment statistics. And I did think that was important. Do you think that's going to be, something that's going to bother the youth, particularly as they head to elections, to not have those statistics? Do you think that the youth feel like perhaps it's a ploy?
Yeah,
just their feeling, not a ploy. It just feels like that kind of statistic could be quite harmful to certain parties and others. Do you think the youth are getting that perception? That,
I think they are getting that perception. And come on, young people have been demanding for jobs over the years. We have seen thousands of graduates that are without jobs in the country. They are demanding for jobs, and of course, because of unemployment, they are forced to now vote, out in numbers, and bring about change that they need, and which is they are demanding for jobs.
Yes, they are. They're absolutely, and there's no moving away from it. Really.
Yes. Besides that, one of the factors could also be education. Access to quality education, free
100%.
Education. These are some of the things that are at the forefront of young people. Some of the fights that I can remember in Parliament, young parliamentarians who are fighting to get rid of institution fees, for example, to reduce the fee for institutions. Every now and then you see in the beginning of the year, students are unable to afford registration fees. It's always fights with university students.
I mean, so many letters are sent out.
So many letters are being sent out for the university to reduce the prices. So this is what we say, access to education. And then you find that in other places of the country, there is no access to these kinds of education. So the young people, they want access to education. And of course, they will vie to make change.
To make change, and they're going to want jobs after that education. You mentioned some young parliamentarians. Do you think that the advent of the young Namibian parliamentarian is also spurring the youth on to vote? We remember in the last election, we saw LPM with some young parliamentarians, PDM in this one, certainly pushing young parliamentarians to the forefront. Do you, SWAPO as well, without a doubt, Patience Masua, Emma Theophilus, these are all young, brilliant minds. Do you feel like seeing these figures involved in politics is inspiring the youth to want to vote more because they see themselves in the halls of power?
Yes. I do think these young parliamentarians, they play a huge role in encouraging youth to vote, because you see that, oh, look at this young person. They're
relatable.
Yeah, it's relatable. They are fighting for change. And one thing is they are on the platforms where the young people are. So they know what the young people want, what 100%. The young people want. So it's brilliant, and they are.
Yes, I mean, I remember having some reservations about Minister of ICT Emma Theophilus talking on Twitter. Having some back and forth. But then I realized that is part of her job, and part of her role as a young youth parliamentarian is to be accountable. And we're more likely to ask you to be accountable on Twitter.
Of course. I remember the Minister of ICT. She even once mentioned that she even receives DMs from young people, and she responds. And as a young person, I think she ought to do so.
That is essential.
Yes, and it's within her duty
scope,
scope as well.
Yeah, without
a doubt. And then one other thing is corruption. Over the past few weeks, we have been seeing how ACC is really trying to come out to make a name for themselves. You look at the biggest corruption scandals in Namibia that happened, like fish rot, for example. Fish rot is one of those corruption scandals that angered the youth.
Yes.
And they are still very angry about it.
Yes.
And they want to see, or they want to put an end to it, to say no more corruption, no more fish rot.
Yes.
No, they don't want another rot.
Especially during fish rot, a lot of the youth started seeing that some of their peers who were propelled forward had been propelled for these nefarious purposes, and perhaps the Namibian youth wants to do right by them. Okay, so what we said unemployment, we said education. Do you feel, we'll get into the manifestos, but just your general read of the room, do you feel that political parties are adjusting their policies now to try and cater to the youth, especially when it comes to unemployment?
Some of them are really trying their best to adjust their policies to adhere to the youth. Some of them they still speak to the older generation.
Yes.
So it's a 50-50 situation. So
now you and I, we're in Windhoek, right? We're in the city, but we're also not the majority of youth. How far away is that? How far is that gap? How much distance is on that gap really between the city youth and the rural youth? And we're talking to access to information and just understanding the political landscape in Namibia. What's your perception?
From my own perception, honestly, the gap is huge.
It's huge.
I've been around. I've traveled to the north, Rundu.
Yes, you were stationed there.
Exactly. So when we do our media roadshow as well, and you cannot compare how a young person in the north thinks than the young person here in Windhoek, and the access to information is limited in the north. You go to a village, for example. These kids they don't even have a television in today's world, so they don't even know what is happening beyond their village compared to a youth that is here. So the gap is really huge. I think the government still needs to push and really take activities and whatever needs to be done to get the youth from other towns really active and to come and fight for those social injustices, for example. So the gap is huge.
The gap is huge, and usually when the gap is huge between rural and city youth, it generally means the rural youth will just vote according to what they know and what they've been conditioned to do. So
definitely.
Enzo and I are going to continue our conversation after the break.
Hi fellow Namibians, my name is Machai Samba from Northern Secondary School, and I'm here to advise my fellow youth why it's important to vote. So it's important to vote because it gives self-empowerment. So it gives individual a voice in decision making. So you can make your own decision on who to vote for. So please do vote, it's important and it counts.
Ms. Bekers, a teacher at Pico de Vallejo Secondary School in Keetmanshoop. Young people have unique perspectives and issues such as education, climate change, and job opportunities. Voting ensures that their voices are heard in decision-making processes. Participating in elections empowers youth to take an active role in democracy. Decisions made today will affect young people for years to come. Voting allows them to influence policies that shape their futures. Encouraging youth to vote is essential for a vibrant and representative democracy. Thank you.
We're continuing our chat here with Enzo Amuele, the head of the Myzone Youth Brand, and we are talking about the youth voice in Namibian politics as hashtag Namibia Decides 2024 on the 27th of November. Now, Enzo, let's continue our conversation with this. What impact do youth movements and activism, such as those focused on climate change, education, and of course unemployment, have in this cycle? Because we know with the youth, with the Gen Zs, it always starts from activism. They always start on Twitter, starts on social media. They find a value that they really believe in, especially climate change. Climate change hasn't really been driven that much by the elderly generation, but the youth absolutely care. So what impact do you think these movements have?
No, they do have a major impact on youth. For example, you take the likes of organizations like student-led organizations like NANSO, for example, or you take the Students' Union of Namibia. They in the background, they also drive that political agenda to sort of educate young people and sensitize them about the importance of voting. For example, we had a Tukwatha organization. It's a youth, it's an NGO, in Katuturo. They organized during the process of registration. They had a whole fun work for young people to go and register and vote.
Yes.
So this is an organization that understands that change comes from people that need to go vote, and they understand that the young people are the majority 100%. And they need to go and vote. So these organizations, they really play a serious impact, and they influence how young people think. They influence the political mindset of a young person. Yes. So I think those organizations, they have done justice to a certain extent. So, and it's only what they can do. So they cannot go beyond what within their scope, for example.
100%. No, without a doubt. Okay, so let's talk about this, because it's going to be a big issue. What do Namibians perceive as the role of the older generation in politics, and how does that influence their voting behavior? We hear African youth a lot of the times. This is not me saying it, it's not Enzo saying it. African youth are tending to get tired of older leadership. What role is it playing in Namibian politics right now?
Right now, I think young Namibians, they feel, this is of course my own perspective, I think they feel like the older generation do not prioritize
the youth,
the real the youth, and
they're
the
out
real
of touch.
Exactly.
Okay,
that's the word I was looking for. They're out of touch with what the youth face on a daily basis. So as I mentioned earlier, you find that the older generation might prioritize traditional policies and stuff like that. While at the end of the day, what needs change is, for example, institutions, financial institutions that needs to drop down their lending to young people. So it's they feel they know that older people are out of touch.
Out of touch. It was easier for them to buy houses. It was easier for them to get jobs. They get on the phone, maybe they Facebook. We live our entire lives on our cell phones. They might think the network is fine, the Namibian youth might be thinking about 5G, so to speak.
Exactly. And then you find older people also have an attitude to say that no, but young people don't understand. You know, you find someone that has been at the same position for
decades,
for the past 30 years. And then if someone younger must take over them, then they feel like, no, this person doesn't understand. I've been here since independence. I've been doing what I've been doing. And also, you even find that the government calls back people that are on retirement.
Instead of putting in youth.
Exactly. Instead of putting in someone that is young, someone that comes in with fresh ideas, they rather call back someone that's retired already, 70 years old, to come back in office. So, and then seniors, juniors, is young people.
Is young people.
Do they have the same goals? Maybe not.
Maybe probably not.
Young people want to use platforms, and they want to do ABCD. They want to do AB, but then this old man says, no, listen, we are doing it this way.
We are doing it this way.
We've been doing it since independence.
Yeah, and the biggest issue with the young ones is they're the ones heading into the future, and they want to be responsible for those decisions. Lovely chat, Enzo. After the break, we get into a few of the stats.
Good morning, my name is Maris Benjamin, a teacher at MK Factor. This is just a call out to all the youth members to go out in numbers and cast their votes. Voting is you voting for change, and you know best which political party serves best to your interest. So go out there and go and cast your vote.
Yes. Hello Namibians, do you have this? I'm a North French learner, David Augusto. I got this. If you have this, please vote. Voting is very essential for us to make a change or difference in the society. Electing the party that you want to be in power, it's so nice, especially for the youth. Please, let's do this. This is a free country. Thank you. Let's all vote.
All right, so now we're going to be looking at the election stats over time with regards to Namibia. This is from 1989 until the present day, and this is the percentage of the population represented by the voting youth, which is aged between 18 and 35. In 1989, it was 25.6%. In 1994, 27.3%. 1999, slight increase there, 27.4%. 2004 regressed again to 27.3%. 2009, 27.7%. 27.6%. And then 2014, this is Hage Gengop coming in, 28.8%. 2019, 28.6%, so slightly less in that election. 27.3% is what we're looking at in 2024. But with regards to the actual numbers in 2024, we are talking about 900,000 Namibian youth out of 1.4 million people. So definitely the majority there. And this has been the median age for voters in 1989, 16.8, 1994, 17.5, 1999, 17.9. This is also reflective of those times when people could get jobs, start working, and they were really involved in these processes from a young age. 2009, 19.2, 2014, 20.2, 2019, 20.7, 2024, 21.1. That's like right there in the middle of youth, just enough maturity rather, to try and figure out your way in the world, precisely what you are looking for. So those are the stats. Is it encouraging for Namibia's future to be having an average voting age of 21?
Yeah, it's encouraging, merely because of the fact that the young people will definitely come and address the real issues that young people are facing, and it's as we said in the beginning that you find the likes of Emma Theophilus. She's a young person, and I think she's in the right position.
Yes.
And you can see how that ministry has evolved over the past few months that she's been there. For example, because she's a young person, she's relating to what young people want through our technology,
and they're paying attention to global trends as
exactly.
well.
So she's just not sitting back and folding her arms. People are talking about 5G. She's not ignorant of it. She's attending to it because she knows 5G is important. It's going to shape the future of Namibia.
100%, without a doubt. Let's have a look at some of the manifestos, and first of all, have a look at how you can check out the manifestos.
Stay informed as Namibia Decides 2024. Save the Synergy chatbot 264-8578-56231. Add to your contacts as Synergy chatbot. Open the WhatsApp chat. Type elections. Click Select Here for more options and click Manifestos. After that, select the party's manifesto that you would like to see. Namibia Decides 2024.
All right, looking at our manifesto facts, we won't be able to go through all the manifestos, but you've just seen how you can look at all of those. We start, of course, with the ruling party. Their focus is also employment, and this is their creation budget breakdown. Major areas funded under SWAPO's plan will include sports infrastructure and career development, youth empowerment, housing, sanitation, education, arts and creative industries, agriculture, where we're looking at 10 billion. They're hoping for 52,000 jobs over there. Universal health coverage, 15 billion. But swinging back to it, let's look at youth empowerment. SWAPO is saying 10 billion for 52,087 jobs. Is it anything they couldn't have done before? That's the question in my mind.
SWAPO has been in power for many years, and they could have done it before.
They could have done it before.
They had the chance to do so. They had the chance to create so much employment. If only they had most probably listened to young people. I think it could have happened long time ago.
So this could be a sign that they've started to listen.
Yes.
They're hoping to go in the right direction to sell because for them. Now looking at PDM, their main focus as well is youth employment. They want to establish a youth venture capital fund by allocating a percentage of national revenue annually to help youth with bankable project plans to receive funding, mentoring, and coaching without collateral. They also want to enhance youth-specific affirmative action on government procurement to 25% so as to mainstream the participation of youth-run business in economic development. And also they want to initiate a young leaders program, all sectors to recognize, reward, and involve exceptionally talented youth. I could argue that PDM has also had time.
Yeah, they also had time, and I think one important factor in PDM's manifesto is the fact that they are trying to get young people's businesses out there,
yes,
to reduce those procurement regulations
That's
for young people to flourish in business.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Sorry for interrupting you. And they said the Youth Enterprise Capital Fund is going to enable youth to access business financing interest-free, either individually or in groups without traditional collateral requirements. Please continue. Sorry.
No, and then you find that young people have businesses, but they don't have the capital.
Yes.
And the bank doesn't want to give the capital.
Yes.
Either. So I think that's a very good initiative. If it do comes into plan, I think a lot of young people are going to flourish, and then there won't be a need to say, okay, we are employing how many people, because then these young people can also create their own opportunities.
100%.
So you find there are so many people out there with brilliant ideas, business ideas, but there's no money.
There's no chakras.
Yes.
And also, just an interesting one, which I think young people might like with regards to the PDM, they want to relax the barriers imposed by the Namibia Revenue Agency on young entrepreneurs, particularly those who operate with Order With Me enterprises. That's a huge one. Of course, someone can also argue that PDM has been in the halls of power long enough to make these impactful decisions. Of course, they haven't had enough power to do everything they want to do, but they do have some young people at the forefront.
And some influence as well.
And I guess we could say both PDM and SOPO, to a certain degree, they have managed to bring some exceptional young people to the forefront, from Emma Theophilus to Ina Hengari. Those are the two manifestos. We'll leave it there for now, and you can check out the other manifestos, and we'll certainly be talking about them more on Election Watch. Enzo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you. That's Enzo Amuele, head of the Myzone Youth Program. From me, Ashwyn, Mberi, and Enzo, this has been Election Watch as #Namibia Decides 2024.